Hi, and welcome to the podcast that we sell you total tech support for my work so I can make all the numbers and profit that I need.
In
5D.
I like that one. That was good.
It was definitely interesting. Okay, I have something to say before we start this son bitch.
Uh-oh.
Wait, aren't you going to introduce us first, you uncultured
No.
swine?
No, don't do it. Just
no,
do
I'm
it.
not
Just
going
go.
to.
Go.
I'll do it afterwards. But here's the thing. Last week we talked about a lot of very affluent shit, and I wanted people to not get a bad idea about us. We are elitists, but we're not rich asshole elitists. We're assholes and elitists because that's how we were born. God damn it!
What the fuck did I miss last week?
You
All I
missed the food
remember us talking
episode.
about last week was mostly about fast food.
Yeah, no, we talked a lot about food, and then we also talked like vacations and buying shit and all that. It was a whole thing.
Let me
Oh,
make this perfectly clear on this podcast. I am flat broke all the time.
Yeah.
Let me make this clear. I'm just
Send me
older than
money.
Klops. I went through my flat broke years. Now I'm in my not flat broke years.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at too. It's like I was flat broke in pretty much all of my 20s, like later
Yeah.
20s, not so much. But
Well, see, I'm getting into my 30s and I'm still flat broke.
that's not true. You now have a mostly respectable job.
I guess. I'm still not being paid what I should be being paid.
Yeah, but none of us are getting paid.
Yeah,
what we
no,
should
that's
be.
zero people.
Yeah.
Except for maybe
I'm
like
sorry, you guys make way more money than I do. And if I were making your money now, I'd be okay.
yeah, but
Okay, hold on. First off,
you do realize I'm the only IT guy for a
No. Fuck.
117 person company spreading over the entire state and internationally.
Not to minimize your endeavor there, big guy, but I think what Klops doesn't understand is, yes, once you get to a certain level, you're like, yeah, you know what, that's it. That's where I've hit the wall. I'm good there. The challenge is with the bullshit that we have to put up with at our level. Like, it isn't even because I've been on customer service and I will fully admit I never want to go back for different reasons. Now, the type of people that I'm dealing with are people who not only think they're better than you, like the people I dealt with in customer service, but they have a salary to kind of push and prove it.
I'm not saying that that is not the case for you gentlemen here on this podcast.
I had to
I am
move
strictly-
to Oregon to be able to afford to live without a roommate.
I understand that because I'm in a room with 4 people. Okay?
Right, but you're in an
All
expensive
right.
city. I'm in Oregon.
No, that's a respected city in Oregon.
I'm not in
If
Portland.
it's outside of Portland, that's pretty respectable. First of all. Second of all, I'm not in a respectable city either. I'm on the outskirts of all the respectable cities.
All of the Bay Area is inflated. Gilroy's inflated at this point.
I understand that.
all of
I'm
it.
just saying that if I made your salary right now, I would be okay.
Oh yeah,
Instead of having to
sure.
have
I'm sure.
other people pay a part of what I need paid to live where I live in a shithole little city, actually not even say town, that's unincorporated by a town or city. That's
Yep.
nothing. Has nothing here, even
And-
in the middle of everything.
And to be
But
fair,
I want to offer you one thing.
oh,
I love
jeez.
you, big guy.
This is gonna get worse before it gets better. No,
What are we
I
You
know.
have my support. I love you.
Again, I will say that
You have that.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as I
Most
have that, I
of
guess
us-
I'll be
That's
okay.
really all I can give you. I can.
I'll
That's
just
yeah,
ultra plus it.
I just gotta say,
plus
Jesus,
ultra.
plus ultra.
Plus ultra.
Most of
Do
us
it.
came though from very humble beginnings and shit. All 3 of us here. The
You guys
Yeah,
are the
actually,
folks I work
I know that after my stint where I'm at right now, I'm going to be in a way better place because I can go literally to almost any IT place and start working there as an underling. Like, Google, Facebook,
exactly.
or-
So I'm
or
just
anything.
saying.
And so, like, I'm only staying at where I'm at. Just so you know, it's Best Buy. You know, fuck all you that don't know that.
Well, we weren't
To
gonna.
get a bag.
Oh, wait,
blast.
really quick.
And then
The only
leave.
person who can get in trouble for him saying that is him, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
No, I'm not giving any company secrets away.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't
Oh,
matter.
I'm not saying you will get in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm just saying
No,
the only
I'm
person
not
who
gonna
could
get in trouble.
possibly get in trouble would be you.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Which
I
I'm
wouldn't
fine.
get in trouble anyway.
I wouldn't want you to.
Dude, I'm telling you, from issues I've had in the past, like the reason I don't talk about where I work is because just mentioning that And then if you've done any other work in any public fashion, they try to tie those together and get you into trouble. So
What the fuck is this podcast about?
we just this is what it's about. We go on rants.
Just going off of this. We're so off rail. Eduardo, introduce us.
Hi, we've got Klops right above me,
Hi.
and we got Bonsai below me,
Hello.
where he belongs.
Oh.
And we're 5D Podcast. Welcome to another episode. The little
another episode.
Is that what I said?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that like not assistant to the regional manager? It's assistant to the regional manager?
Yeah. The
Okay.
assistant to the assistant of the regional manager,
Oh, so you get to do absolutely nothing and just blame it on two other people.
which would be fantastic.
Wow.
That's
Yeah, that
the
would be-
dream job, right?
That would be
I
nice.
wish there were other people to blame things on.
There's always other people to
Send
blame things
Apple.
on.
No, there's not.
You guys don't have interns?
I am the only IT
It
person.
doesn't matter. You just blame a random intern. Like, "Yeah, that guy over there. He did it."
Just hire me, Bonsai, and then I'll send them all to Apple.
I wish I was hiring people. It's not for it's not that I've never considered, do I know anybody who could fill this? That's
Phrasing?
completely
Are we
out of
still
my
doing
control.
phrasing?
I'm fine with it.
All right. So, there is a couple of things that we want to talk about. We kind of want to do a more video game centric one today. I think we've got at least 3 video games to talk
Well,
about.
let's be fair, me and Klops don't want to, but Eduardo threatens our families.
Only
No.
only parts of them. The parts I don't like.
It's all of them.
Well, insufferable and all that. But Klops, he actually played some motherfucking video games, and some of them I'm really interested in. So Klops, take it away.
Wait,
son.
Klops played something interesting? Now I'm interested.
I play a lot of interesting things.
No,
I
he
have a
doesn't.
terrible Humble Bundle addiction, as well as Steam sale addiction.
I feel
Don't-
Ever
Don't we
since I
all?
stopped smoking meth, it's been kind of my addiction to buy more video games.
I feel like it's a step up.
Yeah, kind of. Or a step down. I don't know. I think I'm spending more on video games than I was on meth.
you ever suck some dick or some coke?
Yeah, I was about to say.
Anyway,
seen
I guess
it.
the first game I'll kind of talk about is more of a kind of like multiplayer slingshot game. It's still in its beta. I think I picked it up for about $24. Because basically Fallen and Taint Anger had it, so we were starting to play it together.
Oh, we're doing that now.
So
His
we're
name-
for.
His name is Taint Anger on my Discord server, and spelled in
Anybody-
Elite Speak. It's great. Yeah.
Anybody who followed our old stream knows who we're talking about. For anybody who doesn't follow our old stream, that's what you get for not following
Or the
our old
current
stream.
stream. We stream on Tuesdays. Push.
I don't know if they're still there.
So Kill Squad is a 4-player multiplayer kind of MOBA game that doesn't take place with PvP at all. It's all PvE. You play one of currently 4 heroes. There's Cosmos and 3 other characters that I don't play, so I don't know their names. But you have a dual-wielding gun guy, a kind of support character with a large beam rifle, and a chick with a katana that I think can turn invisible.
Fancy.
I don't know if she
Okay.
can or not. I play Cosmo, who is a dead cosmonaut. So already he had appeal to me. He also
wait, Eduardo, should we pretend to be surprised really quick that he played the cosmonaut?
no,
Wait,
nobody
hold
should be
on, hold
surprised
on.
at that.
Dios mío.
Yeah.
Go on.
He has a giant fucking hammer that almost reminds me of Mjolnir, and can smash enemies and is more of like tanky DPS. The cool thing about this game is like every mission you start out with. So every mission is different vector levels, and that's your gear level. But every mission you start out with only in level 1, and you have to progress through that to like level 12 or something like that as you play that level and level up your character. And you can pick different kind of character trees as you're going along. So there's literally a build that will help my teammates if I'm going that build, or I can do simply more of a solo build if I'm playing by myself, which is really neat.
That is nice to have the option.
It is, and every mission can change that, so you don't have to go the same tree every time, so it doesn't handicap you at all.
So,
Um,
real quick, on a level from 1 to League of Legends, how toxic are the people on there?
Honestly, not very toxic, mostly because they're hard to find. We've sat in a lobby for 10 minutes as Taint Anger went to go pee, and
I don't buy
we
that.
maybe got one person to join us
10 minutes.
in all the different matches we queued up for. So there's not a lot, but it also might be time frame for it too. I don't know what the demographic is that's really playing it, and it's still a beta and it's still relatively new, and it's not really like received a lot of like PR because it's from an indie company.
Sure.
And the gameplay itself, although it is fun, it is kind of repetitive. So it's a lot of people may be turned off by that as well. I find it to be a perfect game to play with friends and to like throw something on the like other screen, like My Hero Academia, and like watch it while I'm playing the game or having witty banter with my friends. It's not one that I'm like super hardcore into. It's definitely more of a casual game, but it's still fun nonetheless. I'm eager to see where they're going to go with the different heroes to play and what different mechanics they can do and everything else.
Does it look like they're still adding some heroes as well?
They are currently doing a lot of updates and changes and stuff. Currently, I think they're adding a couple more cosmetics for the new heroes as well as new contracts, because you take contracts that are a part of your vector level, and then you can take on bigger contracts as you get higher and higher up. So we just got the first level bracket of quest line, which is like level 5 to like 30 to like 30 to 90, and then it's like 90 to like 200 or something like that.
Oh wow. Okay.
So we're
You're
just
still way early on.
Yeah, we're still just getting into the second bracket. I think I'm almost level 50 vector, and like everybody else is around that as well. So that's what we're kind of playing. So it also might be that because of the bracket we're in, there's either nobody there or just not enough people have gotten there or something.
Sure.
So it could be that as well.
Okay.
The terrain is kind of different, and every mission is kind of different in its own way and changes the terrain. It's like pre-gened every level. So
Okay.
none of the levels are the same. They do kind of have the same look. Like it's either like a jungly level that looks kind of swampish this time, or it has more crystals added, right? Because there's crystals in this world. Or you're like in a kind of like metal kind of maybe space station or kind of ship of some kind. And so the train kind of looks similar, but it's different enough to be fun and not be too much of a like, oh man, this is just the same level that we've been playing over and over again.
Okay.
And like I said, it's more of a casual game, so I wouldn't like rate it too hard if you're going to play on it. It's definitely one to play with friends and kind of keep on the background and kind of play, at your leisure or when you're in between playing a serious game. But all in all, so far, it's solid performance. I'd probably give it about a 3.5 kill squads out of 5. Just because it could go really good depending on how they develop it, or it could just turn into total shit because it's early access.
And is this really early access, or is this broken game that they're charging early access and letting?
No, it's not broke game. It's still very much they're in development. I think the developers are doing a really good job, and I think they're doing constant things to keep it updated and to try to work on it because it's their baby right now. They're still an indie company. I can't remember which company it is though.
Because
one I've never heard of.
One of my biggest regrets right now is Escape from Tarkov. I really like took your guys' word on it that it was going to be good and that they were still working on it. And
honestly, it still is really good. And we're getting into Tarkov now. They're about to drop another update for it that's going to add the hideouts as well as a bunch more other things. And you haven't been in it since it got out of alpha into almost early beta. And they've changed that game a lot.
Early beta.
Yeah, because that's the time frame you played it was when we first picked it up. And it's leagues different than what it was when you played it, Eduardo. It's not the same game. One of the levels they added a little bit more recently, but not too recently, was the lab. And the lab has different. They're not scabs NPCs. They're called raiders, and they have basically high-end military tech.
They have this old arc they're looking for.
Yeah.
Kind of. And it's a place where if you don't go in fully geared, you're most likely going to have a bad time. And even when you go in fully geared, because of all the different firefights and different guns they've added now, like RPKs and all the different LMGs, as well as different sniper rifles and shit, you're probably going to have a really tough time. But all in all, it's getting really fun. I'm looking forward to the new update that's happening with all the hideouts to see how that's going to change things, because no longer it's not going to be just you click up for a raid and go into a raid. You're going to have actual hideouts to go back to like store shit and do things. So I mean, they are changing that. Maybe give it another shot before you write it off completely.
Before you shit all
To be
over
fair, though,
me.
I did play
fuck?
without you guys after they basically did a full wipe and started over.
Hmm.
And I will say that it wasn't as bad as before, but there was still. I always felt that it was too easy for people to just cheese it, and if they like some of the shots were ridiculous because that's one of those games that's very unforgiving. So ultimately, I just wasn't having any fun with it.
Yeah, they have changed a lot of that around too and optimized a lot of it. There are still problems with the game. I think I haven't played it too extensively much. I was Sherping a person around for a little bit because I had a free copy of the game from getting the big edition, so I gave it to them. But I've had some really cool firefights between then. I had one where we spawned in as scabs inside the department building, which is really big and it has a lot of things that you can loot. And I had this semi-automatic kind of AR. It's an AR-15. And we were walking around and I'm going over call signs and stuff like that with this person. And out of the corner of my left eye, I spotted two people and I whip shot and started firing, just hip firing at them. And I took them both down as I was almost dead and was able to heal up enough to survive that firefight and loot all their shit and leave. There was a second time we came into that same kind of run as a scab again, like 30 minutes later. And we were clearing out more of the middle section of the place. And we heard running after a giant firefight and explosions that are happening. We're like, we're not going to go towards that. We don't have the gear for that. And this dude started running and I caught him and I was like, fuck. And I turned and shot with this little AK-74U, which is a kind of garbage gun in that game, and dipped behind cover and healed myself. And I poked back out right and nothing was happening. And I walked up and there was this dude laying there with his face mask up. I'd happened to just hit him in the face and took him down with one lucky bullet, and then had an RPK and like a whole bunch of like level 3 armor and shit, and was like running around with that.
And see, here's the crazy part. There's so
Is that
many...
game a little more DayZ? Sorry to cut you out. Is that game a little more DayZ like? Like you have this one character you're building up, firefights happen, he dies, you got to build up a whole new one again?
No. So your PMC, like your stats don't go away. If you die in a raid, the gear that you had on is in the raid. You can now ensure gear so that if it's not picked up by a player, it will come back to you if you want it. Which could be really nice depending on the guns that you have and stuff like that and what happens. Because there's been plenty of times in a firefight where all of us die. And I'm
sure.
Including the enemy team, right? And like, it's just, nobody survived that one. And it's very much a kind of like scrounging survival game. The aim for that game is eventually it's going to be all open world and you can seamlessly transition from one level to the other. And your whole goal is to escape from Tarkov.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you might find a key that unlocks a thing, that unlocks this thing, that opens this, that opens the gate to get out, right? And so you're going to have really crazy moments where you're trying to go from one place to the other, and you may get into a firefight or engaged with somebody there. But then you also have the hideouts that you can go to, which are like your little safety zones, so you can bring back gear and go out scavenging, and there's also missions to do. From different traders and stuff like that to unlock more gear or to give you a bonus or something like that.
And see, I always heard about you guys having a lot of fun, and all the times that I played with you, I wasn't part of that.
I feel so lied to.
Well, it was just like y'all always talk about how you had a great time in that game, and I just couldn't echo it. So I was like, I'm gonna go play something else.
That's fair. It might just not be your thing because of your time in the service. That could be a very big detractor for you on that, but it also could be that maybe you're not in the right mindset when you're playing it either.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a number of things, right? I'm not ready to say that the game is terrible. I just regret paying for it because it was a high-ticket item.
It was. You could probably still get away with getting a refund if you really want one. If you want to talk to them.
I'm not that kind of dude, you know? I'm not...
That's fine. I'm just saying you
It's
probably
going to
could.
become good, you know what I mean? I'm just now hearing that like No Man's Sky has pulled a Diablo 3. Here we are a year later and the game is way better than when it originally launched.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to like like shit on the developer or anything like that. Like I gave them money so they could develop this game. I just personally didn't like it, so I just didn't go back.
Yeah, that's more about you.
And okay, so there was so that was started with Kill Squad, and then we went with Tarkov.
Tarkov. I guess I could talk about Generation Zero now if you want me to just roll all my video games into one.
Sure, why not? I mean,
All right,
I
just
don't
didn't know if you
have
had
a
a game to
graphic
play.
for that one, so I'm just gonna live Kill Squad back up. But
I
hey.
didn't know if you had a game that you wanted to talk about, Eduardo, but if you don't, Generation Zero is another PvE game that is multiplayer eccentric, but it can also be single player if you want. It takes place in the 1980s in Sweden, and
Everybody likes Sweden.
yeah, and basically the storyline is that you were coming back from a trip, and your boat was attacked by something. You don't know what it was, and you wash up on shore, and now you're trying to figure out the mystery of what has happened to your kind of like area, your home area, I
It
guess.
was
It would be.
Cthulhu. That's the secret.
It's
That's
the-
what I was thinking.
It looks like robots, actually. There's actually giant mechs in this, or not even just giant, there's regular
Blue
mechs.
motherfucker, you don't know he's not a robot.
I mean, he might be in control of all of them. There's definitely some kind of talk about aliens in First Contact, but so far there's only machines that I've found. The story is kind of piecemealed out for every objective, and it feels kind of scarce and almost like it's not there. But it's overall not a bad thing, considering that this thing is like you've missed the whole like initial contact, and it's been overrun by this force that you don't know anything about. It's kind of interesting because you can have different builds for this one as well. I'm going down the survivalist tree, so I am basically crackhead fast, and I can hold a lot of shit. Whereas like Fallen is playing it, and he's more of a healer because that's what he likes to play. And my girlfriend's even playing it, and she's more of like a thief, lockpicking kind of type, snipes. So it can be a lot of fun. It's definitely repetitive. The storyline is kind of spaced out. I can see why it had mixed reviews on the store, and I can kind of see why there's mixed reviews. I kind of want there to be more to this game. Sometimes you go raid entire villages to loot for shit, and you find nothing, absolutely nothing,
In
Which
the whole
is-
village?
which is fine.
As
I
a
don't
poor village.
I don't expect to find everything in every fucking building, but I hate games with thirst and hunger meters, and I feel that this one should have one just so it gives it more of a
That's
substance.
kind of weird.
Like when a game makes me go, I think I should have a hunger and thirst meter just so I find useless crap to do. It kind of needs a little more pizzazz to it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna recommend this one too much to too many people. It's definitely fun with 4 people, and it's fun as like a group thing. You can definitely play it somewhat solo. I have, but I'm not too far into it solo. I'd much rather play with other people when I play it. The other kind of annoying thing is that if you squad up with somebody else, you're in their instance, so your instance doesn't progress any. So you have to go back and do yours again if you want to progress in the storyline.
Oh, that's Monster
Although-
Hunter all over again.
Although it gives you more gear if you do that way, I would almost want to have just a multiplayer thing where we're all progressing the same way, and I don't have to go back and do everything again. Honestly, it's very it's very like middle of the road for a lot of things. I'd probably give it a 5 giant mech suits out of a 10 because it's just too lacking in a lot of areas to truly recommend or give a really great score. I think it's a really interesting concept. I think that the character builds are a lot of fun. I think the storyline is really good for what you see, and the combat, although it is repetitive, can be really fun because you start to, as you move more inland, you start to see more and more different types of enemies, and they start to get like different variations. So like you run to these ones that look like basically 4-legged dogs that run around with machine guns on their back and they shoot at you, and then you get armored ones.
Fine.
You get armored ones later on that you have to take down the armor first before you can hit their weak point in order to kill them. So I mean, the combat is there. I just can't recommend it for solo play. It's something that you definitely want to play with friends and like have good banter with while you're playing. It's definitely not one that you could put something on the background and watch while you're playing it, because you still have to pay attention to everything, and it's still really much Twitch gameplay as far as shooting.
Gotcha.
So, I do have a game, but it only requires a brief mention. Only because it's an older game, and Bonsai's gonna judge the shit out of me.
That was gonna happen anyways. Let's be fair.
So they just released DCU on the Switch.
Oh, did they?
They did. And I was really curious how it was going to work. And so far, not well.
I'm actually kind of surprised that that's how you're going to judge it, because I have a buddy at work who's playing it and says he actually prefers it to the PC.
So here's the problem. The Switch doesn't do persistent connections well. So one thing that game always had was if you lost connection for even a second, you were kicked all the way out. You would have to reload. It would start you all the way at the beginning of the missions, which when you're on a persistent connection on a PC is not such a big deal. But the Switch, its nature is you put it down for a second because you're on the couch and you got to go do a thing. It took me about an hour and a half to get through the starting mission because a couple of times I just had to put it down really quick, and then other times it lost connectivity. So this could very definitely be a thing that they're working out. And
see, my buddy didn't report any of that, so maybe you're a freakish niche case.
maybe, but so far it's not bad. I do feel like the screen's a little too small for it as well. If you remember playing the game,
Goodbye.
you remember playing the game. It had these large cityscapes and
Yeah.
big things like that. So it's really hard to tell what I'm fighting sometimes. What it has done is it's inspired me to reinstall it on my PC. That like
So, does it use your same account? Like, will it use my existing DCUO
No.
account?
no.
Does it come with all the expansions, or do I have to rebuy all of those?
You would have to rebuy them. It comes with them if you get the membership.
So I have to get a whole new membership outside of my existing membership.
Correct. It's
I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean that's always been kind of a shit thing. But yeah, you're starting all over. It's not a thing. I don't hate it, but honestly, again, the connection issues have just been kind of murder, and it does have the same magic that the other one had, because I really enjoyed the crap out of DCU. And I've played it like on PlayStation with Bonsai, and then I started over and played it again on PC. So both of those times, I really, really enjoyed it. I mean, to the point where I still have the original discs of this game.
Really?
Yeah, because originally I pre-ordered this, and I was super excited because they were like, it's like City of Heroes, but with, branded shit. I was like,
it's like City of Heroes, but our servers weren't shut down.
yeah, exactly.
Actually, I think that one's back now, but I think...
Yeah, it is back.
Okay. It did get shut down for a while, though, right? I'm not insane?
Yeah, but I
No,
believe
it-
didn't it get bought out by one of the bigs?
I think the fans got it back up somehow.
Oh, so it's unofficial servers. Okay, fair enough. But yeah, no, if you like the other one, this is exactly the same as the other one. The tiny screen's a pain in the arse. I'm gonna try it on the TV next. See if it holds up, because that might just fix it. I do have the Pro controller I could try out, so I'm not ready to write it off. I just wish the connection issues weren't as bad. I'm actually kind of considering getting the USB adapter for my Switch, just for a persistent connection, to see if it's just the fact that
Wi-Fi.
because my Wi-Fi is pretty robust in my house, but it could really just be that my Switch doesn't like the Wi-Fi, or it could be that staying idle because basically what happens is if you stay idle on your Switch, the screen will turn off. Well, if the screen turns off, it disconnects you. And that can be as easy as getting up to go get food.
So when you're playing it,
From
why
your
don't you
front
just
door.
turn the settings to like not have your screen turn off while
Well,
you're doing that?
but that
And then-
halves my battery life and shit.
Yeah, but if you're just grabbing food or something, it doesn't really matter that much, right? And then when you're going to actually be using it in a frame where you're like, it needs to turn off, or you need to turn.
Sometimes you have to chase after a dog that's about to pee in your house. I'm
Yes,
just
so then
saying.
set your settings to not turn off your screen as you chase your dog down.
There's times when that is possible, and there's times when that's not. Anyways, My point is, I still like the game. Look, a couple little quirks that I hopefully they figure out. Done.
Okay. Hey, I believe in you, big guy, and I want you to know that you're special and that you are loved.
Talk about some comics or some shit, you bastard.
Okay, I'm gonna talk about some shit. I was walking down the road and I saw some shit. And I was like, hey man, there's shit in the road.
Okay.
Okay, so comics. I wasn't going for a good joke. Just fuck you. Oh, hold on. Chat is that everybody? You can always tune in to the show live 7 o'clock on Mondays and be a part of our chat. Yeah, can you guys hear that? That's me typing to the chat. You could be on the other end of that typing noise.
So
Yes.
what is on the chat, Bonsai, since you bring it up?
They're asking when I'm going to stream with you guys again, and the answer is not for a very long time.
We knew
Yeah,
this.
fair.
Or we knew this going into it.
Yeah, I don't know why they asked that. TK, why did you ask that? You know that.
He's trying
So-
to publicly shame him while we're live.
I'm okay.
You can't shame him any more publicly than he already is doing himself.
That's true. He is a shameful person. Sorry, comic
So-
books.
I finally finished a long-standing collection of mine. So anybody who's listened to this podcast for a while probably has heard I'm a pretty rabid Teen Titans fan. It's the first series that I avidly collected. Not the first comic I read, but the first series that I was like going out of my way and making sure I got everything. Big Teen Titans. So after a while, the Teen Titans stopped being teens and therefore couldn't be Teen Titans, and a bunch of them spun off into another group called the Outsiders. And the Outsiders was originally like a Batman group. Forgive me if any of this is wrong, but there's multiple iterations of everything. This is the iteration I'm familiar with. But originally, they were like a bunch of guys from the Justice League who were like, yep, can't handle all the bureaucracy and bullshit, bye. And they went and started their own group that could kind of work outside of the government and the laws and just be superheroes and save people's lives and shit. So fast forward from there, a bunch of the Teen Titans grow up, have differences of opinions on what being a superhero is, and Nightwing reopens the Outsiders. He has this whole new team of Outsiders. It's a great series. I've been collecting the whole thing, and I finally finished it. And I've talked about Outsiders on some of the old podcast episodes. I don't want to get too far into reviewing the whole series. What I want to talk about is the end of the Outsiders. And actually, you couldn't have picked a worse picture, Eduardo. Most of those people are not involved.
You said pick one. This is
Yeah,
what came up.
So two of them are here. Black Lightning and Katana are still on the team. They're being what I will call the finale of the series, okay? Where the finale of the series starts to pick up. It's just after an event called the Blackest Night. For anybody who's not familiar, it's DC's take on a zombie run. They're a bunch of like space magic fueled zombies, and a lot of really fucked up shit happens during Blackest Night. One of the things that comes out of it is Batman dies. And they actually, like, credit to DC, they kept Batman dead for a long time. I think it was like a year, maybe two. It was a hot minute that, like, they were just like, no, he's just dead. There are any comic that has Batman's name, it's not Bruce Wayne. It's a different guy right now. Just other people are Batman, not that guy. Sorry.
Deal with it.
Yeah, right. So out of that, the Outsiders, who were being run by Batman, he wasn't part of them, but he was like giving them tasks and, did all their research and all that kind of stuff. He's dead. So he goes, look, this Alfred comes up and he's like, hey man, this is in the guy's will. Like 90% of you are fired, and here's the people that you're being replaced by. And Batman basically picks a bunch of heroes who he feels represent aspects of him. They're all being led by a dude called Geoforce. He's a prince of a place called Markovia, and he has crazy Earth powers. So the team is adventuring for a while, and it's fun. It feels like some Outsiders, but it's not my Outsiders. I'm already kind of weirded out, and I'm like, man, when can they bring back like some of my favorites, They're going through, and I'm down to the last 2 books, but I couldn't find the last 2 books for a while, so I just read the last 2 books. I totally understand why this series ended after these 2 books, and I understand why there has not been an Outsiders series since these 2 books finished up. It's been years. I think it
Ooh,
was like 2011 is when the series ended.
That's bad.
Yeah, they go into this whole tailspin about just one of them gets real shell shocky, tries to kill himself, fails, and then just kind of becomes a dick about it. And so they align themselves with this group called New Krypton. It's a bunch of like dickhead Kryptonians who are like, "Hey man, we're not going to kill everybody, but also we're in charge of everything because we can kill you all." That's just where we draw the line. So Markovia, like a nation on Earth, their leader goes like, "Hey man, I just signed a pact with New Krypton, so we're at war with Earth. It's just like us versus all of you and New Krypton. Fucking come at me, bro." And the rest of the outsiders are like, "Hey man, have you noticed that you're kind of being a dick?" And he's like, "You just don't understand because you're not a fucking prince. Fuck you."
Oh, okay.
Most of the team is just like, "All right, so we're gonna go," but then the U.S. is like, "Hey man, you're in Markovia working with the king. No, you're all criminals now. You're enemies of the state." So it's kind of starting off interesting, but it feels really quick, and it feels kind of broken. Just this guy is suddenly a dick for the sake of being a dick.
They needed a villain, so they made him it.
Kinda. Like, that's really... They even introduce a bunch of villains, and even the mercenary villains have to comment on how much the team is just fighting amongst itself because this guy is being a dick, and that they're not really getting any hero versus villain time.
That's funny.
They're missing on quality time. Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, kinda.
We missed the
That's-
ass whoopings we used to get.
You know, they're more like, why do we... Like, should we just continue robbing this place, or...
they're like, should
Why are we here? What the fuck is the point?
we just go? Like,
Seriously.
Yeah.
So it goes on and it goes on, and then they establish a couple of the weirdest plot lines I've ever seen. They establish a vampire supermodel who loves being a vampire but regrets being a vampire, and the fashion designer that she just screwed over because she decided she didn't like his clothes. And as he's having a tantrum and drinking at a bar, a mystical man shows up and goes, "Hey man, I'm this entity. Here's this crazy ass horn. You have a fate, bro," and disappears. So then, like, that's in like the middle of the first of these last two books. Towards the middle of the next book, she's just suddenly aligned with the evil prince dude. No explanation. I'm sure it's got to be explained in some other book, but if you're like me and you're just reading the Outsiders books, like suddenly, hey, remember that vampire we mentioned? She's just homeboys with him now. You're like, okay. Still no word of Horn Guy. Just at all. And then a fight happens and Horn Guy shows up and the entity goes, "Hey man, fuck with this." And the Horn Guy's like, "Yeah," and he blows the horn once and like the ground shakes. And then like nothing. And then he's just gone. We don't even mention where he went. He's just not there anymore.
I thought you literally
then-
meant fuck with this.
So then at the end, he's like, "This is my time, man. This is my moment. I'm going to fuck everything up." And he blows the horn again. And I'm not sure what even happens. Like, the art is just not flowing. That I'm going through this a couple of times and going, but what did he do? He
Wait.
just blew into the horn. And then I guess some like random bad stuff, but it's not even like one event caused it. It was just like all of a sudden a few characters were in a shittier position. And then he shows up again and he's about to blow on the horn and somebody grabs it and smashes it and he goes like, "No!" And then that's just over. And that was this guy's entire plot line. He's just randomly in maybe 10 pages of 2 full books. And if you're like, "Wow, you're really not explaining this very well." No, bro, they did not explain this very well. This is the best I can give you is this dude is given a magic horn and then he does something. But then all that it really took was somebody just to walk up and break the horn. And I mean, literally, he just shows up behind him, grabs the horn, and smashes it.
Maybe
then,
there's repercussions later.
But the series is over.
I like to think that like he was blowing the horn and some demon at somewhere is like at some crossroads, like,
Stop.
"What the fuck, man? You called me here twice. Like, what are you doing?" Like he's just like having this rant with himself.
It was very weird. And like the vampire girl shows up, and at first she's like, "I love being a vampire," and then she's like, "Nope, now I'm here to kill the vampire that made me, so I don't have to be a vampire." And I was
Or
like,
like one guy shows up, and then the other demon shows up. It's like, did you get the call? Yeah, I got the call. What's going on?
I don't know what that is.
Here's a false alarm.
It just felt very weird, and like I didn't understand. I didn't understand. And there was just a couple of these weird little plot points where I was like, there's a whole part where Metamorpho, a character that I absolutely love, and they're going over him and his wife, and he has this great backstory where his wife's dad hates him and keeps trying to kill him. And that's actually how Metamorpho got his powers. This rich billionaire was trying to murder his daughter's boyfriend, and instead it gave the fucker superpowers, and he was like, shit.
Damn it.
That he's just been trying to kill the guy.
Man, I hate it when
He's
that
trying
happens.
to kill himself with the same thing to give himself superpowers.
They go out of their way to go, okay, man, your wife's suddenly dying, and oh wait, she died during Blackest Night, and now her dad's trying to bring her back, and the only guy who can save her is Black Lightning, who's been with you the whole time. And during Blackest Night, like, all he did was see, I think, like, his dead ex-girlfriend or something, and then he killed her. And they're like, no, he has the Blackest Light magic inside of him, and it can just feed this chick. But there's no explanation of why he has that. Like, even if you read the series a bunch, there are people who were infected by it or brought back by it. Green Lanterns, because the zombies were caused by a thing called the Black Lantern. So maybe there's like crossover energy. I'm thinking weird comic logic, right? There's lots of characters who would make tons of sense to be the fuel rod for this. But they're always like, no, it's this guy who's on your team and has been with you the whole time. That guy, he has that. How do you know that?
He does.
We scanned it. We just scanned him and he had it. That's perfect.
Retcon.
There was just so many. Maybe they didn't know the series was going to get canceled and they had really great ideas that they then just had to not even bother trying with. But the whole thing was a jumbled mess. Even the art and the layouts were so unreadable. I read a lot of comics, man, and one of my my non-comic friends' biggest complaints that I hear is, it gets really weird. I don't know how to follow what panel comes next, because it's not always just laid out left to right. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes things get fucky, and you got to read around. I'm used to reading fucky shit. I was having such a hard time following this. I don't know what was happening. I don't understand. I went from loving this series to absolutely thinking, yeah, this series deserved to end. This was just bad. Don't bring this back. You're good. You've told the best stories you clearly can. Just stop now.
Or if you do, use
the last two
use
fucking
a whole
things.
different thing.
And it's not like DC hasn't had a chance to bring them back. Since this was canceled, they've done New 52 and Rebirth. They rebooted the universe twice. And it has not gotten a solo run again, because I think it's just kind of like Teen Titans came back. Teen Titans did 2 different New 52 runs because the first one was terrible. It's written by an awful writer. I hate him.
You hate him because of that run or for other things?
I don't really like anything he's done.
Ooh.
And maybe he's done something that I just haven't read that's fantastic, but none of the stuff I've read from him was good. So they canceled his series, and then literally in New 52 started it over from book 1 again. There are 2 Teen Titans Volume 1s within the New 52 because it was that bad. And still Outsiders did not get a new one. So this is my very long, drawn-out way of telling you. Outsiders is a fantastic comic. I think people should read it. But boy, prepare for a really bad ending.
Or
Really
just not
bad.
buy the last 2 books.
Yeah, maybe just don't read those 2. Pretend it got way more abruptly canceled than it did, because
Or
boy,
buy
was it bad.
just don't buy the last 2 books and come up with your own ending.
Yeah, make fanfic. Somebody fanfic a better ending to this. Kill them all during Blackest Night. I don't know.
I do have a
It's so bad.
question.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is the golden person in this graphic?
It's not a suit I'm familiar with, but it looks like one of the... So, the one in the black is spoiler. I'm assuming this is, it's gotta be a Stephanie Brown or... Although this looks really modern, this might be somebody who's introduced when I wasn't reading.
Okay.
I dropped off of DC after a point. I really don't like a lot of their stuff after a certain point. So this might be a character that's past where I was reading Batman, but that's definitely spoiler. And the gold suit has to be like a Stephanie Brown or a Cassandra. Oh no, I guess spoiler would be. Yeah, I don't know who else it would be.
Fair enough.
Maybe that girl from the future. that
I
they-
don't feel bad then because I was like, who the fuck is that?
I'm just gonna Google gold suit lady Batman.
Okay, fair enough. While we're doing
And if
that,
that returns nothing, then I've got nothing.
I think Klops wants to tell us some scary stories.
Oh, that's right. I saw a movie called Scary Stories You Tell in the Dark. Now,
Oh yeah, that's based on the book, right?
yeah, I was going to say, for those of you that are unfamiliar with the source material, you're way too young for this audience.
Yeah,
That's
Not,
funny.
not really. You can stay. It's okay. We won't
Yeah.
tell your parents.
you're good.
I'll tell
Anyway.
you parents.
I mean, okay, that's fine. Eduardo will tell your parents because he's the
Oh,
fun
apparently
police.
that's a dude.
Oh,
Same one.
How dare you assume his gender?
Duke
Right.
Thomas Lark. He's the only one I see on this list with a gold suit. So it's it's after I was reading it, but that's who it looks like. It appears to be Duke Thomas Lark.
He was also the only one that came up with Gold Suit Lady Batman.
Yep. Yeah, that's him. That's a
That's-
Scott Snyder run though.
kind of funny.
Anyway, Scary Stories You Tell in the Dark.
Yes.
I was a huge fan of that book growing up as a kid. I remember it because my sister gave it to me as like a birthday gift, and I fell in love with it. And I always remember that book like having a really creepy build-up and then a kind of like
Meh.
stupid ending,
Yeah.
like in every story. It was always like, we can't be too spooky for the kids, so we have to like, it out. And it was fine. I was that demographic. I even went back and reread that book later on because I was reminiscing about it. I was like, I'm going to read it again. And my feelings were correct. It was still a really creepy build-up with,
It's more
not a
than
great
one,
payoff.
right?
It was 3 books.
Okay.
I had the whole collection, though.
I just wanted
it
to
was
make
just one
sure.
book. If you don't have it, I recommend it as a read. It's a really fun little read.
Mostly for
Does
Does it
kids,
hold up as an
honestly.
adult?
I didn't think it held up as a kid because as a kid I was like reading it and then like it would have the really stupid ending. And I was like, that was fucking stupid. And then I go to the next story and I'd read it and it was like, that's really cool. That was a stupid ending. And it was like that over and over again, except for it had some of the cooler things in there, like the poem from Leeds and the Hearst song. That was what I remembered mostly from it because I memorized it as a kid mostly, and I still know it. Anyway, the movie. Going into this movie, I saw the credits or the trailer for it, and I was like, how are they making this into a movie? I'm really impressed that they're even making a movie based off of this book, because it was never really like a spooky story with the tie-in. It was an anthology series, right? So going into it, I had the mindset of knowing that it's probably for a younger generation, and it is. It's rated PG-13, and I'm not the biggest fan of PG-13
Anything.
horror movies. I mean, some of it's okay, but when you come to horror, it's rated R and above usually that you really like, or that I really like anyway. So I kind of knew that going in, so my expectations weren't the super highest for it being like super scary or anything like that. And I have to say though, it did a really good job. It was very atmospheric building. It definitely had this plot line to it that I didn't think they would ever get, and it was cool because they kind of strung some of the more popular stories together. One of which is the Big Toe story. That was one of the ones that people remember from the book, and that is in the story as well, or in the movie. And they also mentioned the Hearst song, and they had it in there as well. So that was kind of neat, seeing some of these stories played out that way. It doesn't end like you would expect it to end for being PG-13 either. I won't go into spoilers too much for it, but it did
there's
have
a lot of lubricant. That's all he's gonna say.
Yeah, there's a lot of lubricant. So no, it definitely leaves it kind of open for another movie. Which I don't know if it really needs, but I would be welcoming more of it if they did come out with another movie for it, because that means they can tell other scary stories from the anthology that could be in it. It definitely had some nice body horror in it. It does have some of the body horror that you'd expect from more of a rated R, but it's done in a PG-13 way, so it's not super bloody gory or anything.
Sure.
And all in all, the story is really good. The actors and actresses in it, although being young, did a really well performance. It didn't feel like they were like. It didn't feel like Are You Afraid of the Dark back in the '90s, where they're like,
To be fair, they're bringing
what?
they're bringing Are You Afraid of the Dark back, and I couldn't be more excited.
I'm pretty excited for that too. Now I didn't know they were coming back, but that. I loved that show as a kid. I've also gone back and watched most of it as an adult because I was I'm gonna go back and rewatch all this. And it does have some scary moments in that show. Anyway, I'd probably give this one a solid 8 Big Toe Stories out of 10. It did a really well job with the story. It definitely didn't pull any punches where it didn't need to pull any punches. And it's good for those that reminisce about it as well as those that would be new to it, younger or older to it. I feel that although a sequel isn't really warranted or needed, another one would be fun if they can keep that kind of spirit alive with it and still do other scary stories from the anthology.
Yeah.
But this one wrapped up its story arc. It does not have another story arc, or it doesn't have any residual things for that story arc that it told in this movie.
All right.
So, but sounds like it wasn't terrible.
Oh no, it was good.
Okay, I might
for
watch it.
Except for the 2 girls in the back of the right theater that were being loud the whole time that I had to tell to shut the fuck up.
Oh man, you're turning into Bonsai.
I was just gonna say, Klops, let me feed you. Let me feed you my theater rage.
No, this was bad, man. Before the movie started, the trailers are going, and 2 people that were in front of them got up and fucking moved. Right? I was like,
Oh.
okay, all right. Hopefully they quiet down during the movie. 20 minutes in, they're still being loud as fuck. And so finally I just yelled, shut the fuck up. And they did quiet down quite a bit. It wasn't all the way, but it was enough to satisfy me.
But for a minute, this big lumbering dude, they probably went back to their friends and told them to serve when that Nazi yelled at them in the theater.
Oh yeah, the giant goth white dude. Yeah, because they after the movie was over, they waited out front of the door to see who it was to say shut the fuck up. Because I literally just tilted my head back and yelled it up into the theater so that it would echo across the whole
that's
theater.
amazing. And what happened? Did you make eye contact? Tell me you made eye contact.
Oh, I made eye contact with him. I looked him right. I almost wanted to say more, but I was like, I'm gonna let it go at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to catch a case.
Oh, I wasn't gonna catch a taste. I was just gonna tell them that if they can't watch movies and be respectful for the movie and everybody in them, then I guess your daddy wasn't there, was he?
I'm telling you, you're going to catch a case. But, okay, well, I'm glad you got some of your rage against teenagers out.
I don't even know if they're teenagers. They probably were 20.
Oh, fuck them then.
So just bad people.
Yeah.
They could have been teenagers, but if they were teenagers, they were very late teenagers. If not already 18, they were on the cusp of 18.
Okay, well, it's just because if it was kids, it's kids gonna be kids. They're shitty, whatever. In movie theaters, they do that, but
yeah, I mean, even if they were shitty, I don't know. I probably should have told them to shut the fuck up because I didn't even look at them to really know who they were. I just kept hearing them, so I just yelled it into the theater.
Oh no, I'm not saying you shouldn't have told them what you told them. I back your story. I'm just saying.
Oh no, I'm just saying that if I would have saw that they were younger, I would have probably been a little bit more tame. I would have been like, "Hey, quiet down," instead of just saying "fuck you."
You weren't gonna be I'm a monster. I'll eat your children.
Yeah, no.
Okay, well, you look like an ogre, so I feel like you could have pulled that off.
That probably could have.
You could have gone, Klops, smash!
I'm gonna grind your bones to make me bread.
All right, so here's the fucked up part. I have a graphic queued up. I don't know what it's for. So we're rolling the dice right now.
All right, what is it?
Let's find out. It's heavy metal.
Oh. Yeah, so I guess I mean, I'm sure Klops can talk on this one too, though. Huh?
Tell us of the tales of the Lochnar.
So let's give the lead up story to this. So we were at Comic-Con and me and my wife picked up an art. We bought some art. I really liked it. It's this really cool, like, skeleton sniper kind of thing. It's very us kind of art. We're both big comic heads. That's just, we're not like pictures of meadows, or it's just the kind of art we like. And I kept saying how much it reminded me of the movie Heavy Metal. So I was like, man, I think I want to rewatch Heavy Metal. And my wife was like, oh, I'm sure I've seen it with you, but I don't remember it. Let's rewatch Heavy Metal. So let's suffice to say she did not enjoy it at all.
No, I can't see her enjoying that.
She did not have a good time with it. Not like this is offensive or like hateful. It just, she was bored. She was really bored with it the whole time. Which is fair. I mean, I get it. It's not exactly her kind of thing. So whatever. I rewatched, man. The ones that I remember liking the most are still the ones I like the most, but there's some of the shorter ones. I really love the bit on the plane.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites too, where they go to the Island of Dead.
Yeah. I really love the Hanover Fist bit. The guy who's on the court case.
Oh yeah, he gets all like, "Rah!"
Yeah, he just gets roidy for like no reason, smashes everything up, collects his money, and gets offed. Great, fine, whatever. That one's really fun though. I had fun with it. And I liked. I don't mind the taxi driver. I like the two space aliens doing cocaine, and it's even better once you realize it's John Candy and Harold Ramis.
Yeah.
That's kind of magical. The ending one isn't super great. I forget her. Karana.
Yeah, I know.
The warrior chick who flies on the bird thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one here on the
Yeah.
on the front cover.
That's one of the worst ones, honestly.
Yeah.
It was okay. Did you watch the Heavy Metal 2000 though?
No, I didn't. I couldn't bring myself to watch the new one because I remember not liking it the first time.
So, from that ending of the first movie, they kind of play off of it on the second. And I haven't watched the second in a long time. I've been curious to go back and watch it again. But I'll go back and watch it and let you know if it has anything to do with it. Because I watched Heavy Metal not too recently, but not too long ago, I guess. And I remember a lot of it now. But my favorite was definitely the plain one.
Yeah,
it just was such a fucking cool ending and everything else.
No, yeah, and that's sort of the problem though, man. The two best ones are some of the shortest ones with some of the least amount of dialogue.
Though like Conan the Barbarian one wasn't bad either. The one where it's like the nerd that gets sent to the comic.
His name is like Dex or Das.
Yeah, and he turns into this giant like hulking of a man that's like Conan.
Yeah,
that
one is fun, and it's like this weird cult plot for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the best one. It's not the worst one. You're right. I had fun with that one though, and that's what matters. Yeah, just I don't know. I still really like the movie, but I think going back and rewatching it, I would rate it lower than I would have rated it going into it.
Honestly, that whole movie was really just a kind of like shocky showpiece for animation back in the 80s.
Well, I mean, it was the Heavy Metal magazine getting a movie, It was...
Yeah, but that's
what that magazine is.
Right, and I understand that. But that's what people that go into it now have to understand. That it's not the best that it could be for an anthology series. It was really more of a showcase item.
Yeah.
And it was really meant to be offensive, especially at the time. That's why it has drug use and a lot of sex and like nudity.
Nosedive.
And all that shit. You know what I mean? So it's not something that you can like pick up and go, oh yeah, this is great for being time and but no, you have to look at it as like, this was a really fun art piece. And even though every piece of it wasn't the best, at the time, this was unheard of. And so therefore, that's where you have to look at it.
Yeah. Apparently, they've been trying to do a new one for a really long time. I even actually talked to Jonan Vasquez. He was approached to do a bunch of it, and he did a bunch of test stuff, and he has no idea what's going on. It sounds like they just couldn't really make the funding work, unfortunately.
Probably not, because it turned into a cult classic, but it's not one that I think really needs to be made. Or if it is made, it's not one that's going to be in theaters or anything.
Well, for the longest time, the magazine was struggling. I believe they don't do it anymore, right?
Yeah, they do.
Do they? Heavy Metal still a thing? Because I believe, and I could be way off here, but Luis Royo ended up buying a good chunk of it to keep it going.
Him and then the original creator of Ninja Turtles.
Ah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. But no, it's still going, and they've been trying to get a new one going for a while. I think it'll work as an anthology. I think there's a lot of great animators working again. You know,
I just feel it's going to be something that goes to like Netflix or something. It's not going to be one.
Oh yeah, I mean, Love, Death,
otherwise-
and Robots was great. It's essentially the same thing, but I'd love to see a heavy metal branded one. I think that could be really fun.
Yeah, I think it would be. I saw it a long time ago. The reason I've been quiet is because I don't remember most of it. I think it's time to go watch it, but my wife would not enjoy it. So
No, your wife is not going to like that movie at all.
Yeah, I don't think my girlfriend would either. It's really like if you're a 14-year-old boy, you probably would love the shit out of it because that's what
I first saw that movie in 4th grade.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying that's the kind of demographic that really enjoys it and like reminisces about it and goes back. As far as it being like that movie was really rad, but really you just wanted to see tits on screen, right? You know.
It didn't matter if they were animated or otherwise.
Yeah, it still doesn't to most people.
Huh.
Um,
That's probably true.
and it has a lot of blood and gore, so it's like ultra violence, and it's just like
It's honestly, compared to a lot of stuff that comes out these days, it's really not.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Nowadays
we've been
I'm just saying,
desensitized.
yeah, it's just one of those things that like if you're not the right demographic for, you're not going to really like it.
Yeah, you'll only like it as a friend.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Maybe
all right.
occasional fuck buddy.
Oh, occasionally. So, I don't think there is chat. They're saying that they think there's a profanity filter. Let's find out. Nope, there is not.
Are we being bleeped?
I don't know. Bonsai, you try to type something. Maybe it's because I'm the host.
That come through?
I don't see anything.
I wrote shit titties.
Okay, well, I guess there might be. Let's see.
Let's troubleshoot this live.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Try it now. Or not.
Bonsai, try it now.
Oh, me? I thought you were telling the chat to try it.
Have you tried it?
I go?
No. We'll have to fix it. Fuck it. We'll fix it in post.
I wrote dick dog fuck monkey.
And on that note, that's where we're ending. Check us out live.
Wait, really?
Mondays. Yeah. Mondays 7 to 8. And Tuesdays we are streaming from 7 to 9. And by we, I mean mostly just Klops and I.
Not mostly. It's
Eventually.
All right. Mostly just Klops. But
So I'm gonna do this now because I've been doing it. I'm gonna show the audience. I drew all of us poorly, huh? Eduardo just looks like the Mexican guy, though. I can't draw. This is the second time I've tried to draw Eduardo, and it looks nothing like
to
Eduardo.
be fair, this is the second time he's drawn me as a Mexican vampire.
Yeah,
You're not a Mexican vampire?
That's
Yeah.
like that's like a
I think
classic
I nailed Klops, huh?
How do you say that in Spanish?
vampiro. You don't just call him Mexican because you're speaking the language. It's like Mexican food in
Mexicano
Mexico
vampiro.
is just called food.
That's true.
So Mexican vampire in Mexico is just called vampiro. But just
Now,
say
what's a Mexican vampire called in Canada?
a Mexican vampire. They speak English. Eh?
Mexican. There you go.
Oh, straight to hell. Straight to hell. And on that note, final words, Klops.
YouTube shitty titties.
Bonsai.
I gotta go with shit titties. I'm sorry.
Titty sprinkles. Good night.
See ya.